So I guess we can drop into Borderlands. Uh,
Mm.
so yeah, Borderlands 3 came out. Uh, like like 7 years after Borderlands 2. Um, and yeah, they announced this a little while back, and me personally, I was like a little skeptical because just another one of those types of games today didn't really seem like it would hit as well as it would have back then, because it was such a novel idea, like um, Diablo style loot game, but it was a first person shooter, so a lot more fast paced action, um, and the loot was basically all these like randomly generated guns, so it's like billions of guns, and it pretty much delivered on that for the most part. And I know I enjoyed the first two games. The second one a lot more. I put a lot more time into that one than the first one. First one was good for its concepts, but it definitely was a little rough around the edges and kind of had a wet fart of an ending. But yeah, when they were presenting this, it just seemed like another one of these games, like, and with other loot shooters out there, like your Destinies and Divisions and stuff like that, you kind of thought that they would maybe incorporate a little bit of that into the new formula, but didn't look like they were, and they didn't. Uh, and it turns out that that's okay. I ended up really digging it a lot more than I originally thought I was going to. I thought it was going to be one that I played for a little bit and was like, yeah, another one of these, and then I kind of lost interest. But I ended up, putting a ton of time into it over the weekend, because it's a really good shooter, and they do a lot of interesting things, a lot of new mechanics and stuff like that. Um, I'm not really following the story all too much. I don't know if either of you two are. Um,
Mm.
do you want to kind of either of you want to run through like up to date on what is going on in the Borderlands universe?
Um, yeah, we can. I don't know, Lee, how well do you, or how into it have you gotten?
I'm about 4 worlds in now. So I guess it's no secret now. There's been a couple of games since that said this is a post Handsome Jack Borderlands,
Mm-hmm.
and everything that plays out uh, is played out from that. It doesn't, although there's characters from the midsection Tales from the Borderlands, um, a Telltale game.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of connection between those two with characters, but not so much with story.
Okay.
The protagonists in this one are the Children of the Vault, which are kind of obnoxious YouTuber kind
Yeah,
of
they're
influencer type people.
they're like a
Um,
play on influencers. They're like and follow, and they're like life bloggers and shit like that. But they've kind of built a cult around their following.
yeah, with them being kind of able to absorb siren type things which they didn't originally have.
Mm-hmm.
So they're kind of they're quite a powerful setup, and all the characters from the first two games are back to some extent.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe that the oldest ones will be back at some point, but mostly you get people like Lilith popping
Mm-hmm.
back in, Reese, who's from Tales from the Borderlands. So you got a few people popping in, and it's just the ensemble thing. It's
Right.
weird. It's hard to nail a Borderlands story because it's kind of there's lots of throwing things against the wall and seeing what sticks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's
With
like
Borderlands.
Borderlands has always been like those side stories and like the overarching story, it's there, but it's like, yeah,
Mm,
it's there. At
yeah.
least with this one, like, we, like you said, we have the influencers.
Mm,
You're trying to find these vault keys versus them getting to it first.
mm.
Mm-hmm.
And I think more of it plays out in like these side stories. At least that's where I've been having like the most fun, especially with getting to the Jacob's planet and dealing with their whole thing. That's probably been one of my favorite parts so far.
I
Okay.
haven't been there yet. I think I'm only at Reese's planet. So I haven't got that far yet. Where are you, Ron?
I'm still on the second planet. Uh,
Ah,
I'm dealing with the Malawan Atlas kerfuffle.
mm,
I think
That,
I just wrapped that up, and I'm going to be going to the next planet. The story kind of pushes you right along. Uh,
mm.
so they talked about this pre-release, so it's not really much of a spoiler. But you do leave Pandora, and you go to different planets, and this isn't like No Man's Sky planet where you exploring the whole thing. This is like basically in a few areas on the planet that more or less are based around a certain aesthetic change as opposed to like a full planet to explore. So like you start on Pandora and that's like the desert. You know they literally call it the droughts. So it's like cliffs and looks like it's in the middle of the desert or something like that. Then you go to the uh, Atlas planet, which is more or less a city, like a futuristic, like a cyberpunk kind of city, which was uh, a little bit more linear, I would say, than the first, than Pandora. Like it was a little. I think it felt a little bit smaller and a
yeah.
little bit more like you were just going down city streets. You weren't like exploring a big open area or anything like that. And I don't know where it goes from there. If it stays small scale or if there's some planets that are a lot bigger and open. I'm not. You guys
It
would
does
probably be
open
able to.
up a little.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it gets a little bit bigger on the next planet.
Mhm.
Mm.
I think it's Eden 6. Um, but yeah, it still seems like they're more like linear. It's a little bit more linear based than what I was expecting from it.
Mhm. Um,
Mm.
yeah, I mean the previous games are pretty linear. They had some big open areas, but they were kind of like keep pushing you forward to the next zone. I remember in Borderlands 2 specifically, there was a big section where it got super linear for um, a few hours, and then it opened up a little bit again. But it seems to be their formula is they kind of funnel you
Yeah.
down for some story stuff, and then they open it up with some driving around and exploring, which they've done. I think they've done a pretty good job, like peppering the environment with places to explore and things to find, like like special gun chests and just secrets to find and unlock challenges and everything. Um, yeah, and sometimes they'll tie a quest to it, or sometimes it'll just be like you just find it randomly walking around, which I think is cool. It's one of the things that I did have an issue with the previous Borderlands is there wasn't a whole lot of that. You would you would have these open areas, but there really wouldn't be too much in the way of finding anything outside of what was either marked on your map or laid out right in front of you.
Yeah, it was like mainly the echo devices, and
Mhm.
then finding the vault symbols.
Right. Did the vault symbols even unlock anything?
I think it was just a trophy. Like if
Yeah.
you
Okay.
once you found all, I think there was like 10 or 15 of them, something like that.
Yeah.
Once you found them all, then you'd get a trophy for it.
Yeah. It seems
I think
like
it was.
some of the what was that, Lee?
I think it's tied to badass points as well in Borderlands 2.
Right.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
badass.
Yeah.
So it was just like a challenge thing, but that was like the one challenge that was tied to a trophy as well.
Yeah. But yeah, this is a little bit more. These challenges seem to be a little bit more tied into the game. You actually get like legit rewards for like you get a special gun chest unlock or something like that. And yeah, I guess that's probably what I ended up enjoying the most about it was just exploring around, because it's a good feeling, good playing first person shooter, and they've added a lot of quality of life things to kind of make the exploration and getting around easier. I think the mantling is actually kind of a big deal, because that was like something the two previous games were missing, was any kind of verticality.
Yeah.
They were just you were on the ground level, you shot what was in front of you, and that was pretty much it. Whereas here, you can actually climb up on top of a lot of objects, like buildings and crates and all sorts of different stuff. And that really opens up the combat a little bit, and also allows them to put stuff up there, like secret stuff and stuff like that. So I think that's pretty cool. There's been a couple of platforming puzzles I've come across that haven't really felt frustrating or poorly done or anything. They just were like, wow, that's cool that they have this in a Borderlands game now.
Yeah. And the other thing is the adding in the sliding.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be another big thing to put with the mantling, because that definitely changes up the game a lot too.
Yeah, I haven't really used the sliding a lot in combat.
I slide everywhere, especially against tanks. Slide at them with a shotgun, one shot.
Yeah. I should try that a little bit more. The reason why I don't usually do that is because you got to take your thumb off the stick, and then you don't have your control over the movement as much. But yeah, I do like the sliding. Like it is cool, and it's something that's pretty been, if your first person shooter doesn't have sliding in this day and age, you're probably doing something wrong. I guess the only thing, like in terms of like modern shooter mechanics that I wish they would have added in is like the type of like context sensitive cover. So like in some games you would hide behind, in some first person shooters like Far Cry for instance, you'd hide behind a piece of cover, and then when you aim you would like pop out from behind it.
Yeah.
And then pop back down in. I wish they would have added that, because it would have just made it, I think it makes the gunfights a little bit more dynamic, a little bit more intense. But I guess you have enough powers and stuff, you don't really have to worry too much about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, they've done some interesting stuff with the guns. Like those Cult of the Vault guns that basically don't have any reload, they just overheat.
That almost break the game, you mean?
Yeah, well, I haven't really found one that breaks the game. I found one that they're like seem like they're too powerful, but eventually they ended up being like useless. Like I had one that was for some reason it was classified as a pistol, but it wasn't a pistol. It was a full automatic, at the very least a machine gun, if not should have been an assault rifle, but it was classified as a pistol.
There's been a couple of those to where like I'd actually finally gotten like an SMG, and I started doing stuff, and it was like, all right, you've now killed 50 people with this. I was like, what? I've been using one for... Oh, it was a pistol.
Yeah. Yeah, it was very strange. Some of the, at least early on, some of the classifications for the guns were not fitting what I was expecting them to be. And the problem with that was like this was a fully automatic gun. It was powerful, and it you didn't reload. It just, just generated heat. So it was burning through the pistol ammo so quickly, because you don't carry as much pistol ammo, because you're presumably, using it in a pistol, where it's, just like a semi-auto scenario where you're not dumping like 50 bullets in a second at your enemies. So that was a little strange. That was probably the first gun that I was like, wow, this is different. Doesn't seem like I should have this right now.
It's all a little bit all over the place. I had a shotgun that was like a rocket launcher, and a kind of a pistol that was a flamethrower, and it's like I didn't know what the hell was
Nice.
going on, and
Yeah.
it's like. Which is fine until you realise you've burnt through the ammo you didn't want to burn through because you picked the wrong gun. Oh God,
Yeah.
it's a little bit
Oh my God.
overwhelming sometimes
So
because
I've
you don't know what to get rid of. You don't know what's got what perk, and so you keep everything, and then it's all a bit of a mess. But you're oh.
Yeah,
so
that
I've
no, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, since we're talking about weapons, I've gotten the gun that you throw and it grows legs and runs around.
Hmm.
It's absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
Uh,
Is it actually
yeah, it's
useful?
actually super helpful,
Yeah.
especially if you got a lot of things around and like if you go down, it'll get that second wind for you. And
Oh,
then I've
okay.
gotten a shotgun that when you throw it and it'll bounce around like a grenade and eventually explode, but every time it hits something, it goes ow, 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 and then explodes.
Yeah. That's something that they've added to like the weapon manufacturers is like all the TDR guns you throw them when you reload and it's like a grenade or
Yeah.
but they've now added instead of it just being a grenade like a normal frag grenade, they put the um grenade types on them as well. So you'll have one, like you said, the one that bounces. I had one that was like a Merv. So when you throw it, it explodes into like 10 other grenades
Oh,
and
nice.
blows up. Um, and yeah, like Lee was saying, sometimes you pick up a gun and you're like, oh, this is just another crappy pistol. And then you shoot it and it just does something completely ridiculous that you had no idea it was going to do. Um,
Yeah.
because of some weird, like he said, some weird perk that's on it. So like, yeah, it's like this hard line of like, I don't really want to waste all the time going through every single one of these guns, but at the same time, sometimes I use like a common, what would seem like a low level gun for a very long time, and it just keeps outperforming all of the like rares and epics I keep getting or something like that.
Yeah, that's
Um,
happened a lot, especially with like the assault rifles. That's one
yeah, the
that I've
assault
noticed that
rifles,
like
yeah.
I'll hold on to one for a while and then it'll be like 10 levels lower and I'm like, oh, I need to switch this out.
Yeah, it's always been like that with me with Borderlands assault rifles, like because you want the assault rifle so important. It's like the main gun you have, so it has to feel and behave exactly how you want it to behave. So when you find one that does what you need it to do, you usually keep holding on to it for a little bit longer than you probably should. Um,
I find the ranking of the guns a little bit confusing. The score of the gun as opposed to the level of the gun, and then the damage of the gun can be completely different things.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
been a little.
I don't understand. I actually don't understand
No,
what
I
scores
could
are about.
100% agree with you on that, and that's probably been one of the most asked questions from like new players to me. So I've had a couple people that this is their first time playing a Borderlands game, and they're always like, "What's this gear score thing? Like, what's this do in relation to this?" And they're just like, "I haven't got the slightest clue."
yeah. I mean, like the gears, the score up in the corner is supposed to, as far as I know, it's supposed to be the best way to know whether or not it's better than another gun you have, right? Like
Yeah,
in theory,
Mm.
anyway.
in theory,
Um,
and it's absolutely
before,
not.
yeah, well, before it used to go by the dollar amount. At least that's how I used to do it. I used to look at how much I would get if I sold it, and if it was like I would say I'm not picking up anything that is worth less than $200 anymore. Or if I look at this gun and it's like this one's worth $300, this one's worth $200, well, the $300 one must be better. Of course, you would want to try them anyway if there was something on that $200 one that you thought maybe was cool. But generally, that worked out. But because of how wacky some of these guns are and how just reading the stat sheet doesn't always tell the whole story on like what the gun is going to do and how it's going to perform. There's really no number you can go by that can like one number you can say, well, this is better than this one, so I can get rid of this old one now. Um, which is I guess it means you're probably going to be screwing around with more guns, but also you get so many friggin' guns that it's kind of a huge waste of time to just keep rotating them out and seeing which one you like. And then obviously there's still fodder guns that you're just going to throw away because essentially the guns are the currency, right? In this game, you just convert them into money that you use to buy either upgrades or better guns at vending machines and stuff like that. So you're always going to get those crappy guns because that you're not going to pick up like enough dollar bills on the ground to really make too much of a dent in your wallet. So you need to sell these low level weapons and stuff like that.
Yeah, and that's another change to what we're talking about, the currency of the game. Iridium is now used for cosmetics, which are all included in the game. So there is no store, there is no buying Iridium bars with your own money. All cosmetics are in the game. Yeah. As of right now. So we'll do as of right now. Hopefully it stays like that.
Yeah.
But now you buy your upgrades with the actual money. So they kind of gave having actual money a little bit more use than just buying ammo.
Yeah. Like when I first got to Sanctuary and I finally found the SDK upgrades or SD whatever.
The SDU.
Yeah, the SDU upgrades. I was like, oh, thank God. And then it was like I bought 2 backpack upgrades, and then the next one was like $50,000. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, no, that's insane because it's 3,000 for the first, then it's 9,000, then it jumps up to 27,000, and then after that it's 81,000.
Oh Jesus!
I have them all at 81,000 right now, so I don't know what's next.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't necessarily buy all of them. Like I don't use submachine guns. I barely use pistols, so I'm not gonna update those. But like sniper rifle, you only start out with like a very small amount of ammo that you can carry for those. So I've upgraded those, and of course assault rifle, and rocket launcher and stuff like that.
The loot retrieval was a good thing. I like that actually.
Yeah, that's been really nice.
Yeah, I wish there was a vending machine right next to it though.
Right.
Because like I go down there and I like retrieve all my loot and it's like all these guns come flying out that I'm like, but I don't have enough room to carry all of these.
It's definitely saved me a couple legendaries that I had no clue dropped or who knows where they dropped.
Yeah.
And they pop out like, oh, I missed that.
Yeah.
Fuck.
You know what I wish they had, and some games do this in like these loot games. I wish you could, in your inventory, break your weapons down immediately and like get like half the value or something.
That'd be nice. Like if you want to do it real quick, you're gonna get 250 versus 500 if you sold it at the machine.
Right. Yeah, something like that. So you could at least clear out some of your backpack space and not feel like you're just leaving it sitting there on the ground. Because that is a constant problem where you're filling up your backpack with stuff, and then you're like, where's the vending machine? Where's the next vending machine? Where's the next vending machine?
But with that, we could talk about fast travel real quick. Now that it's completely changed, that'd be something of note to mention.
Yeah, the fast travel is pretty good.
Yeah, especially now that you can fast travel from wherever you are to any of the stations, or wherever you are to your vehicle, no matter where that vehicle is.
The vehicle is cool. Being able to fast travel to your vehicle is really cool.
Yeah, super useful.
And it's like instant too.
Yeah. If you're on the same like map zone as it, it's just like boom, and then it'll do a little loading screen if you like pop to another world or another complete zone. But it's still really quick.
Yeah, that's what impressed me the most was how quick it was to get back to your vehicle. It was just like, boom, you're there.
Yeah, I remember the first time I used it, I was like, oh shit, okay, I gotta stop what I'm doing because there's a bunch of enemies here.
Yeah.
Because you're used to that little
you're
like
expecting
30-second load time, and it's like
so
10 seconds.
checking your messages or something.
Yeah, you're checking messages, looking to read something, and then all of a sudden, boom, you're there.
Yeah.
I'll throw in a little secret real quick I just learned. If you do 69 damage to an enemy, your character will laugh.
Nice.
I haven't noticed it yet, but there's just an article on it.
Okay. So it has to do exactly 69 damage.
Yeah. So if you pop off 69 damage and you notice it, listen for that laugh from your character because your character's gonna laugh.
All right. I believe it because that's the type of game this is.
Yeah, even though they've toned down a bit.
Well,
come on, we no longer have midgets in the game. They're now tinks. And
yeah, but that was never the type of it's all like their type of humor is like referential humor, like the
my god, there's been so much
Rick and Morty thing, and like I've seen that quest and stuff like that, and
where they yell Excelsior everywhere. Some of them.
I don't know. I
haven't heard that yet?
No, it does. God. It doesn't do that. Doesn't do anything for me. It never did. Like there was probably a time with like the first one where I thought it was pretty good, but now it's just kind of like I just phase it out and forget about it.
I like to think every time somebody gets a 69 score shot, a USB drive get lost at medieval times.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I guess there is a reference in the game to that specific incident.
Oh, good lord!
Yeah, there's a gun in there or something that I haven't seen it. I just heard about it. Yeah. Yeah. So performance-wise, it's like technically like the performance has been kind of a discussion topic. Isn't great on console. I guess isn't really great on PC either for a number of reasons. But it seems to be not a huge deal breaker for most people.
There's never really been a Borderlands that hasn't had a fairly rough start though.
I know, that's why it's stupid that this one does. Because it's like 7 years could probably figure out how to launch it, and it's Unreal Engine. It's not even like some super complicated.
The other thing is it's like super random too. Like sometimes you'll have an issue, sometimes you won't, and then like the way they apply their hot fixes too.
I've been okay on the 1X running in resolution mode. Apparently, there's also issues where the game's causing people's consoles to crash and stuff, like across the board. I don't know too much about that. I haven't encountered any of that.
No.
Yeah, I haven't had that happen yet.
Yeah, flipping between resolution mode and performance mode, I did notice that like it totally does not maintain 60 frames per second in the performance mode. Especially when you're driving around in a vehicle in like an open area, it's dropping. It goes all over the place. But the resolution mode, which is technically supposed to be the more demanding mode because it's running it at a higher resolution, does seem to be able to lock it pretty well at 30 frames per second, which is good. So that's how I've been playing it, and it's been enjoyable. The only thing is the laggy menus, like the menus when you open up the menus and you have like a inventory full of guns, it'll take a while to open up.
Yeah, my big issue there was every time I'd go over to the skill tree, it would take like a minute for the skills to load.
Yeah. Yeah, for me it's been the inventory, like all the gun information popping in. Sometimes even when you just press the menu button, it takes a while to pop up. So I hope they sort that out because you're going in and out of there so frequently.
Yeah, they said they were working on stuff that they're working on like a full patch. Right now, what they've been doing is the hot fixes. So like maybe you'll pause the game and it'll be like, "There's been a game update. Do you want to like exit and restart it?"
Yeah, I saw that once or twice.
Yeah, because what it is I guess they're loading it. It's like the hot fixes being saved in memory. So that's why like every time you start up, you might see that because that's their like shortcut before they
Mm-hmm.
could get the patch out to try to address some things. So
Yeah. I guess the only thing we want to talk about here finally is how the multiplayer experience is. I've played very briefly with another person, but I know Derek, you've been playing multiplayer.
yes, um, it's been like it's kind of been an all over the place experience because
Mm-hmm.
like I was playing with my brother and multiplayer was working fine. Like as far as being connected and like any lagging or like kind of like bandwidthy issues,
Mm-hmm.
it was fine. But then like we'd hop on with my other friend who has just a good enough connection and it would be lagging all over the place, especially if we got like a little too far away
Mm-hmm.
and we were in a vehicle or something, it would start lagging like real bad and then like rubber band me all the way back.
Mm-hmm.
But then we'd go in and we'd play with like three of us, two people close by here, and another one a couple states away, and everything would be completely fine.
Hmm.
So it's kind of been like an all over experience, but like the scaling and mechanics that are going on behind the scenes, especially playing in the co-op mode where everybody gets their own loot and everything and
Mm-hmm.
sees like their own level enemies has been working really well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's the two different modes you get to choose when you start up the game, and I think you can switch it at the main menu, right? If you
Yeah,
want
yeah.
to.
Yeah, in
So
the
there's like
pause
the
menu you
competitive
can
mode, which is like the classic Borderlands where everyone shares loot and you have to fight over it, like who gets the gun out of the chest, and the enemy leveling doesn't scale, so it scales to the highest player, right?
yeah, in
Is that
the
usually how it goes?
competitive one.
Yeah, the competitive one, or it scales to whoever the host is, right?
I believe so.
So like if you're a level 5 and a level 20 joins, you're just gonna be ripping everybody apart. Um, and so are the guns that you get are not going to be anything that you're going to be able to use. But the cooperative, is that what they call it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's like everyone is kind of like got their own unique game going on. It just you happen to be sharing the whole world. So your enemies are the right level enemies, and the weapons you're going to be getting are the right level weapons, and you don't have to fight over the loot. Everybody gets their own instance loot, which is fine. Which is probably the better way to play anyway.
Yeah, it's been pretty nice, especially when everybody's pretty close in level, at least by like two levels or so.
Mm-hmm.
Because if somebody's like, I had one of my friends, he was getting nothing but shotguns and hadn't seen an assault rifle yet.
Yeah.
So I finally got one, and it was like a level or so higher. So he took that, held on to it, hit that level, then was able to use that. So if you're like, especially with like a talkative group of people, you can
Mm-hmm.
really like find everybody what they're looking for, because then you get two chances to see that type of item, three chances, four chances if you have a full lobby.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I will mention that they added like pinging in the game up on the D-pad. Will where whatever you're pointing at will put an icon for everybody to see.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, you
Oh,
didn't know?
Dude, I
no.
had no idea.
Yeah, yeah. Up on the D-pad, if you're pointing at a gun chest or a gun, your character go like, "Oh, check out that gun," and then it'll show on the your whoever you're playing co-op with's HUD, and they can go over and grab it and take a look at it, kind of like Apex Legends did with their pinging
Oh,
system.
nice.
Yeah, so that's a pretty cool addition
I'm
that
gonna
they
have to
added
try
in.
that out.
Yeah.
Another cool addition is with the social thing where you can gift people guns,
Mm-hmm.
kind of almost offline. That's quite cool.
Oh yeah, now that
Social
you
area.
can mail
Yeah.
the stuff.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
cool.
okay.
I like that. So you don't have to wait in game to do it. You can just send it over.
And they get
You
a
go
nice.
into your social stuff because it dishes out a lot of weapons as you get progression in the game.
Mm-hmm. Give them a little present to wake up to.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Anything else we want to address with Borderlands before we move on?
No, it's good.
All right.
Covered it pretty well.
That
It's
was
good.
Borderlands 3. Yes, it's a good game. It's not a complete revolution. Like I kind of feel like it was back in the day. Like, it was just a really cool idea that nobody was doing. But the formula still works, and they've made enough tweaks to it, I think, to make it at least a little bit interesting. It's almost like they're literally going against the grain with, not doing it more like Destiny or Division or even like Warframe or something like that. And it seems like there's still definitely an audience for that. So good for them. So thank you for joining us on this very special episode of Voxel Viewpoint. If you'd like to hear or see more, please consider subscribing to us on your favorite podcast app, subscribing to us on YouTube, or visiting voxelvoice.com, where all of our great content comes together in one place. Also check out the Voxel Voice Facebook group, where you can join in on the discussion with a great, like-minded community.